Welcome to the Jamodi podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. I think so. Form is so important in those habits that shooters have to focus on daily. But then a lot of it also has to do with, and you mentioned it a little bit. You touched on it with starting close, hitting a bunch, building that confidence, finding that joy again that you had from when you were a little kid and it went in the first time, finding that joy in shooting. But how big is the mental side to a player becoming a consistent shooter?
A constant balancing act, and it's huge. And there are a number of alligators in the water in all directions. Like there are ways it can go bad in from being too deliberate to not deliberate enough, and thinking about it too much and never thinking about it. Like there's all kinds of potential problems, and so we have to be really kind of smart and aware of what we talk about, and what we work on, um, and how much we hold somebody accountable to something, but how much we let them be themselves at the same time.
You have a player that comes to you for help, and you notice that mechanically it's pretty smooth and there's not a lot of negative energy happening.
Mhm.
But they've made a comment, or even their family parents have made a comment. He's not struggling with confidence. How do you help with building that in them a little bit?
That really just comes down to your preparation. Confidence is basically your belief in yourself given what you've seen from results in the past, and you can't fake that.
Hmm.
uh, Kids want to know all the time, how can I build my confidence? Make more shots is the simple answer. Like,
Spend
you
more
want
time. Yeah.
now, we can fake ways of being more confident, but they're fake.
Hmm.
And we as coaches, we have to understand that I can't give someone else confidence. And if I do, then that is very fleeting, and as easily as it's given, it's also taken away.
Yeah.
And so one of the mistakes that I see with coaches is we end up doing a lot of drills to build confidence. And the example I'll give is, okay, if you have a shooter who's developing, and they're shooting game threes, and you're filling their confidence with, hey, you just made 20 in a row. We also have to understand that's a double-edged sword. If a player's capable of making 23s in a row in practice, but only 36% in games, we think we're giving them confidence in that practice moment, and we may be, but in that game moment, when all of a sudden they can't make 20 in a row, that we might be taking confidence away. That we're establishing this false positive
Mm.
of, hey, look, you can do this every single time, only because the situation isn't very much like a game. So I may do that in a warm up,
Yeah.
but if you're able to make 23s in a row but only shoot 35% in games, your practice isn't hard enough.
Mm.
And there's too big of a gap between the way that you're practicing and the way that you're playing. And that might be what's holding you back from getting that up to 40%. So confidence is a is an interesting one that we have to really base around truths,
Yeah.
and honesty, and sometimes that can be uncomfortable with players.
I think you're right on the money with it. It's really hard for us to actually give them confidence. It's because it's just talk,
Right.
the words that we use. But what with through their preparation, the time that they spend, they will actually be able to protect their confidence. Like nobody can take your confidence, but you can give it away freely. So you have to know how to protect it. And the way that you do that is you go back to all of rep the reps that you've had and the thinking that you've had there.
Yeah, it's your body of work over a long period of time, not the result in one instant that builds your confidence. It's like, why is Steph Curry still confident when every playoff series? Like I googled Steph Curry playoff slump, and there were articles from 2016, 2017, and 2019 of Steph's in a slump in the playoffs. Only the next series, he wasn't anymore.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just 5 bad games that ended, and he probably didn't even blink. Why? Because it was 5 games when he has thousands of games of evidence that I'm just in the middle of a
Yeah.
bad 5-game stretch, and I'll be out of it soon enough. You just wait.
And what that does is it puts the responsibility more on the players. He can look past that. Ray Allen can go 0 for 11 in a playoff game, and the 2 nights later break the single game record from 3. Not because he found a guru or he got zened or something in that time, but he was able to because of all that time. So it's on the players to make sure that they're practicing purposefully and building great habits, but then having the time and reps in to grow and gain that confidence in themselves.
It really all comes down to consistency. And are you, I get asked by players all the time, like, how do I become more consistent? And it's like, are you consistent with the way that you practice? Okay, well, and I think a lot of young players they're searching for the perfect shot. And if I can just learn what this perfect shot is, I'm going to be able to make every shot from now on, or from that moment on. And so they go in one day with an idea of what's going to create the perfect shot, and they're less than perfect because they're a human being. And then they go, okay, I guess that wasn't it. Tomorrow I'll have another idea. And they come in the next day with another idea on what the perfect shot might be. And now they practice that for a day, and they miss a few shots in that day, and they go, well, apparently that wasn't the perfect shot either. And so how are you ever going to be consistent when every day you're changing your mechanics?
Yep.
And I had a pro player that was along those lines, and he's now shooting a career high this season from 3, because we haven't panicked.
He's just sticking with it.
Yeah, we're like, stay on plan.
Yeah.
Were like, yeah, and he's having a little bit of a rough stretch right now. And guess what? We've changed. Nothing. You were shooting 60% from 3 over the previous 2 months. So we know we can do it. You're just having a rough stretch right now. Don't throw everything in the garbage and start over because of 3 bad games. Continue doing what led to 60% from 3. Yeah. And then understand that 60% from 3 is probably not going to be sustainable over the course of an entire season yourself, and expect that it might be some regression back to the norm.
But helping them understand that too, especially the younger players. You made the comment of 20 in a row, but now you're shooting this percentage. Well, that's what it takes to shoot this percentage in a game. It takes this. So helping kind of them connect the dots. So it's not, why do I miss shots in games? I'm not missing shots in practice. Well, I don't think perfection is attainable or right, the ultimate goal.
Right, exactly. That we're trying to get repeatable or reasonably repeatable.
Yep.
As opposed to perfect. And again, it's a balancing act between we're trying to get basketball, especially shooting a basketball, is a really interesting dynamic where it is kind of a closed skill, a repeatable skill in a very, very open environment. So it has elements where it's like darts, where it just do the same thing over and over and over again. But then we've got elements that are more like soccer, where the same thing never happens twice.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we're the balancing act between those two ideas.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.